Let us discuss the characteristics of effective communication. Now, see, we can't prepare rules for effective communication because communication generally is from the heart, it is impromptu. But we are not discussing the communication between two friends, between family members, wherein you can say anything that you want and the other person will not mind. Here, what we are discussing is business communication. So, in business, communication is generally planned. Like, say, for example, you have to write a letter. Okay, so you want to write a letter to your customer, or you want to write a letter to the supplier, or you want to write a letter to the government. Letter has to be properly planned because you cannot be casual. You need to be courteous, respectful to the other person. You should be able to explain the problem in that letter itself. It should not be very lengthy. So there are certain rules for these kinds of communication in the business world. Okay, leave alone writing, because even when you are asked to write a letter to your friend, you will be very careful. What about oral communication? See, when we are giving a presentation in the office or when you're communicating with your boss, there are certain rules or there are certain things that you need to keep in mind. When is the communication effective? Now imagine this, what we are doing is a formal communication, right? I'm giving you knowledge and you're accepting that there is a medium also that we are using. What if I go on and on and on with the lecture? You as a student will not be able to take that because you'll say, ma'am, we have other subjects also. And please teach from the exam point of view. Who has time to go through all this, no? So as a student, you will want everything to be concise, brief, to the point. Whatever is important for exam, only that should be covered. For knowledge, we have the entire lifetime. So every type of communication requires certain rules to be followed, or there are certain requirements that you should consider. So in a business world, in business communication, what are the characteristics of effective communication? Now, what kind of questions can be asked on this? They will ask you a question of weightage 4 marks, okay, generally. But very recently I've observed that they don't ask questions of 4 marks. They stick to their standard weightage of 2 marks. So in this, they may ask you to explain any two or maybe maximum four requirements of effective communication. Ma'am, what if they don't specify? What if they ask you to write the characteristics of effective communication without mentioning whether we need to write two or four, or maybe you need to write all? So do one thing, students. If this question is asked for 2 marks, they are expecting you to explain two, okay? But okay, explain four. But if you remember the other characteristics also, just write the heading, don't explain them. Okay, don't explain those heading. At least the examiner will know that you are aware of the entire answer. You know what are the essential characteristics of effective communication. There are a few characteristics on which a separate question is asked. Okay, like listening for understanding, a question was asked on that. Listening and hearing, that is one part on which they ask a specific 2 mark question. So a variety of questions can be asked, but depending on the marks, you will decide how much is to be written. All right, if you know the answer, then I gave you one hint, no, that you write you write the head points and then don't explain it, right? Okay, the first characteristic of effective communication, these are all C's, so they're very easy to remember. The first is that the communication should be clear. Now, clarity also will include various aspects. Like if you're writing a letter, it should be clear in legible writing. What you want to communicate, that purpose must be clear. Okay, so the first requirement is that there must be a clear purpose, like why you're writing the letter. So in writing skills also, we also discuss that. In the first paragraph itself, mention the purpose, introduction, why you're writing the letter, what it is about. Now, if you have called someone, what is the first thing that you will tell him? Hi, how are you? So and so person gave me your number. I am calling you regarding this matter. So, the first thing that law requires is for you to state the purpose, and that purpose should be very clear so that the other person is prepared and he knows why you have started this communication. So, the first requirement is that it should be clear. Second is that the language must be simple. Normally, what happens though when we start writing in English, we expect ourselves to write high level words, big words, or difficult sounding words. We try to use the thesaurus, yes. So all that is not required. Whenever you go for oral or written communication, ensure that the language is simple. How do you know that the other person who's to whom you are communicating wants high level words or appropriate English? You don't know your target audience, no, many a times. So use simple easy language. Yes, if you're participating in a recitation competition, or a debate, or somewhere wherein it requires you to frame something which is in very good English or a high level English, then you can concentrate on your language. But like in my case only, if I start using jargons, technical words, high level words, students will not understand what I'm talking in the lecture. So for me also, I need to state the purpose very clearly when I start communication. I need to use simple language so that it is understood by all. Not everyone is well versed with such good words and grammar of English. Next is you should use short sentences. I remember my mom, she used to tell me when she was teaching me, she used to take up my studies in school. So, like, I remember in fourth standard or something, she had told me that you write lengthy sentences. So, you should use short sentences in the exam, because I had a habit of writing continuously, I used to frame very lengthy sentences. Then she told me that as an examiner, nobody will want to read such lengthy sentences. No, use short sentences so that the idea is conveyed properly. Otherwise, if the sentence is like one paragraph only, so we lose the connect as to what he's trying to say. So clear purpose. Okay, these are the pointers. You have to convert them into sentences. Purpose must be clear. Use easy language, short sentences, okay, and use bullet points or paragraphs. This is how we advise you also to write the answer in exam. Use bullet points, use paragraphs, leave a line after every paragraph. That is nothing but making the communication clear. Yes. Okay. Next requirement is that it should be concise, brief. Nobody likes to read lengthy sentences. Okay. So whatever you communicate should be brief, to the point. We don't like reading paragraphs, or we don't like reading pages. Even when I teach in the class, many a times students will first count how many pages are there in that chapter, and then they will allow me to start the chapter. So see, nobody likes to read lengthy sentences. So brief content, to the point. Avoid irrelevant words. Don't beat around the bush. Don't, like in college exam, what do? We know only 2 points, but we try to create 6 points. So don't do that when you're communicating. It should be concise, brief, to the point. Sometimes, when we go for oral communication, some people have a habit of saying, you know. After every sentence, they will say, right, right, I see. Oh, I see, I see. Or they'll, after every sentence, yeah, this is to be done, right? Where did you go? Oh, you went there, right? Sometimes we have a habit of repeating words. We should avoid that. Oral communication, be it oral or be it written communication. So avoid irrelevant words and avoid repetition also. It should be concrete, to the point, clear. So it is always better than in business or formal communication. You should have a mental framework of what you are going to talk. The content should be based on facts and figures. I remember seeing an episode of Shark Tank. Like, I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, okay? So in my lecture also, you may find many example of Shark Tank. I have seen Shark Tank of India, and now I'm seeing US also. So there are so many episodes, and I love the way people pitch in their ideas, and these they grill them, and there's an investor. It's so interesting, no? Okay, let's not go to that. The content should be based on facts and figures. I remember one episode of Shark Tank India where Piyush Bansal, the owner of Lenskart, was giving his pitch. Okay, so it was just a fun episode, I should say, or a fun pitch. But if you have time, go and see that episode or see that clip. He gave so many facts and figures. Like, why would you want to buy spectacles? Like, it's such a normal thing. But then he explained that there are X number of people in India, like lakhs of people or crores of people in India who do not have access to spectacles because they're expensive. Like, ask your grandfather, do you want to change this frame? You'll ask your grandfather. He's like, no, no, it's okay. I'm able to read. Sometimes poor people or old people, they don't want to burden their children, so even though their number has changed, they don't tell their family member that my number has changed, only because it'll be expensive, they'll have to change the frame, the glass. So he wanted to make these frames, glasses, spectacles affordable. So see the pitch that he gave so many facts and figures. This is the number of people who are, visually, they're dependent on spectacles. This is the number that is available. This is the price at which they have to buy. These many people don't buy because there are so many facts and figures on which he has based his pitch. That is what attracts the investors. That is what attracts audience. What if I say, no, 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 I feel that, this product will work. The investors over there, they say, give facts and figures. You are projecting that you will do 1 million of 1 million sales this year, $1 million. Is it based on your previous sale? And how are you justifying it? You say I sold $60,000 worth of sales last year and now I'm projecting 1.2 million. How come? Okay, how come it is going to increase by double? So you have to explain, not more than double, sorry. So you have to explain based on facts and figures your claim. Okay, so you have to justify. So whatever you do, whatever your communication is, it should be, you should not give too many facts and figures, I agree, but at least something which will justify your communication and whatever you are asking. So don't base it on your assumptions or what you feel. Next, you should provide sufficient details, adequate details, which will help the other person to take an informed decision, or it will help the other person to understand your purpose of communication. Then the next element is coherent. There should be a link. There should be a proper flow in communication. If you have seen my law lectures, you will see that I use a lot of charts, simple ones, not those complicated flow charts and all. I don't believe in all those. Simple, easy to understand charts which have a flow in them. Like, say for example, if I want to explain what is the meaning of contract, I will not start with the definition of contract. I will first explain what is a promise. Then when many promises come together, it forms an agreement. Agreement is offer acceptance. Then when you add enforceability, it becomes a contract. So what is a contract? It's an agreement enforceable by law. So we discuss agreement, we discuss enforceability, and then we come to the definition of contract. No, what if I tell you what is contract, then I tell you what is promise, then I tell you what is enforceability? There's no link only in what I'm saying. How will my students understand? That's not effective communication. For effective communication, there should be a proper link, there should be a flow, a logical flow in your communication. Ensure that there is a logical bridge between words, sentences, and paragraphs. These are only the key points which we are discussing, student. Exact sentences are given to you in your workbook. You should present the content in a proper flow, easy to understand, short, okay, not lengthy flow charts. It should be complete. Okay, before I forget, coherent, yes, a separate question can be asked on coherent, so please mark that as important for exam. Then it should be complete. Okay, whatever communication is happening, it should be complete communication. It doesn't mean that it should end over there. It means that whatever is the data, information required at that point of time should be provided by communication. See, now I'm not completing the entire syllabus in this video. I'm just picking up one concept. So whatever information is required for you to write the answer on characteristics of effective communication should be present in this video. I have given you a workbook. In that, I have divided the chapter into small parts. That part will effectively communicate the answer completely. I will not tell you half answer is given here, 2-3 points are given at the end of the chapter, and 1 or 2 points are explained later in some other chapter. That's not complete information. It will not be effective. So at that point of time, whatever information is required should be provided. So we should convey all the required facts, information, figures, etc. Not many, but whatever is required. This increases the company's reputation and helps in better decision making. Now, if you are seeing an advertisement, okay, let's say that I want to take admission in a college. So in the advertisement for that college, they have mentioned name of the college, the place where it is located, the grade of the college, then the facilities. They have, use small pictures, and they mention then the subjects which are offered. Broadly, they have classified. So as a student, what would I like to know? The grade of the college, where it is, since the number of years that it has been operational, and what are the courses offer. So if in that one ad I can see the entire information, it means that the communication is effective. When I also prepare these ads, you see my ads for live session on YouTube, or you see on Instagram or Facebook, that one small block, that one image has so much content. Like, I want to go for a live session, so I will mention where it is it on Instagram or is it on YouTube, at what time, what is the date, what I'm going to discuss. So in that small image, I need to mention everything. Otherwise, what will happen? Students will start messaging me, where is the live lecture? If I don't write where it is, you either on YouTube or Insta, they will ask me where. If I don't say what I'm going to discuss, hundreds of messages will come. And what is the live session for? So it should be complete. It should provide a lot of information, whatever is required to make decision. Courteous, be polite, be empathetic. Empathetic means understand the other person's state of mind. Like, my friend, she lost her father. I can't go and talk to her very casually, no. I can't say, Hurry, do you know my boss bought a car? I went shopping yesterday. Can I talk like this? Understand the other person's emotional state, no? Be courteous, be polite, be respectful. Okay. Whenever you're talking to your senior, let's say it's a written communication. So, dear sir, respected madam, that is how you should address. So the sender should be polite, respectful of the status of the other person as well as his emotions, open and honest. Doesn't mean that you should give all the information truthfully. In business, you have to be tactful, okay? Avoid offensive or negative tone. Now, many a times, student, I'm sharing this personally because it's like, you are sitting in front of me and I'm sharing my personal thoughts and experiences. I'm not going against anyone, I'm not undermining their ability to write in English. But many a times when students communicate with me on either YouTube in the comment section or on WhatsApp, you know what they write? Send me CA inter notes. Send me? Am I your servant or someone who's working for you? Send me. Or I want on YouTube, make this video. You're requesting it to someone who is older than you. You're requesting it to someone who's giving you all these things free of cost. I'm not expecting anyone to be respectful, but as a human being, there is some expectation, no? There are so many students who give a lot of respect. Respected ma'am, or thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. So, especially the students who don't have access to all this, they are so happy when they receive the material. Like, I put lectures in English, and I get so many comments from students that, we do not find lectures in English elsewhere. We are so happy. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your efforts, ma'am. See, this is polite. This is being courteous. So sometimes it hurts me, but that's how it is. I ignore that. I just want to provide the best to my students. That is my whole aim. So I ignore it. Okay, so we need to be courteous. There is a difference between, I love this image. It's very interesting. No, it gives a message in this one image only. Listening and hearing. There's a difference between these two terms. Listening is through mind, and hearing is only through ears. See, in an organization, we listen to so many things. Some are important, some are gossip, some are casual talks, some are instructions. We have to be very careful, and we have to listen to every information carefully. Otherwise, there may be misunderstanding, or we may listen to only half the information and then keep wondering, what about the other half? How should I go about it? Then you're in a confused state, or you may misunderstand some information. I'll give you my personal example. There was a senior of mine, when I had started working in a corporate immediately after clearing my CA. There was this person, I remember his name was Amit. So he was in my department. I was in the internal audit department, and he was a very friendly person. He knew everyone in the company. He knew people from audit, HR, and he was there since 5 years in the company. I was just new. So he knew everyone in the HR. He knew it was a broking company where I was working. He knew the people in PMS department, that is Portfolio Management Services, and other places also. One day he came and he announced to all of us that I am shifting from this department to PMS department. And I am like, how did you do that? And how did you come to know about it? He said, because we used to keep seeing, no, of shifting from one department to another. They used to send emails. Okay, HR department to send email that there's a requirement. But he had friends, and he heard from one of his friends that there's a vacancy in PMS department. He went and spoke to the manager and gave the interview, and everything was done. They didn't send an email only to other persons because he was already appointed, no, to that vacant position. Listen, keep your ears open in the organization. Okay, so hearing is one's ability to perceive sounds and noise. I'm just listening, I'm hearing there are noise, there is a lot of sound, but listening is something done consciously. It involves the analysis and understanding of the sounds that one hears. Okay? So when you listen, you're listening through your ears. You have to be very careful, students. In the organization, there is a lot of information floating. You have to keep your ears open. Listening, hearing, understanding. Generally, a question is asked on this part. So hearing is only through ears, whereas listening is through mind. It is very conscious. Focus and attention. I'll give you another my example only. When I used to work in a corporate, besides my department, there was the HR department. Happy go lucky people. They would go for lunches, then they would chit chat, they would gossip, leave at 5:30, and we used to struggle till 8 o'clock, and we used to leave at 8:30 and all. There were times when they were planning the next activity, what should be done. And I used to like work and think it's so unimportant. No, they are planning what should be the next fashion show and where should they go for lunch. Now I am trying to focus on a very important report, and they are telling किधर जाना है रे खाने पे, where should we go for lunch. अरे we had gone last time the fish was very good. And I'm like, yaar, I'm feeling hungry. It's lunchtime. I also want to go and take a break. But it was very difficult to focus on the report. I was just thinking about food. So in the organization, there is a lot of noise around you. You need to be focused and attentive to your work if you want to succeed. Okay. It happens with me when I work on these presentations also. I always tell my son, don't disturb me. Let me just finish this part and then I'll come to you. So whenever I'm making also, if I'm making these slides, something is going on in my mind, then I don't want to lose focus or attention. Then mobile is kept turned, the screen is down so that nobody disturbs me. My son also, I tell him, come after 15 minutes. So, multiple activities in the world create distractions, which can be detrimental to the communication process. We need to be focused. There are many distractions around us. If we pay attention to that distraction, something will go wrong. Now, imagine that you are putting numbers, okay? And because you got distracted, instead of 10,000, you wrote, or maybe instead of 10,000, you wrote 1 lakh or 10 lakhs. That will create a lot of problem later, no? Emotional awareness and control. Never write anything when you're emotional. Even when you're happy, don't write anything. Even when you're sad, don't write anything. So whenever you're sad, you should never write any message, be it email, or you should never call a person when you're very sad. Or Sad in the sense that sometimes you may, when you're angry also, you tell things which you don't intend. Like you fought with your friend and you told certain things which you didn't mean, but because you were so angry, you were rude. Understand the other person's state of mind, understand your state of mind also. Like I gave you an example earlier. Your friend's father has died, and you're telling that friend, I'm going shopping over here. My boss bought a Mercedes. Be empathetic, no? See what that other person is going through. Be emotionally aware of your feelings and their feelings also. So, sender, receiver both should be aware of their feeling. Manage your own emotions. Understand the emotional state of others while communicating. Okay? So, we should be aware, students. We should be aware of our emotional state as well as theirs. You should never write, like, you want to write a complaint letter. Don't write when you're angry, because you may say things which you will regret later. That's not effective communication. Write when you have calmed down, you're in a peaceful state of mind, and then you write. Okay? So we should be aware, emotionally aware, and we should be in control of our emotion, not ours, but the receiver's emotions also. So, students, these are the characteristics of effective communication. You have to remember the head points. You have to remember the keywords. See, in the module, they have written a lot. I have picked up the keywords and given in your textbook. Memorize that. If you feel it is not possible for me to remember, I can't learn all that, highlight, pick up the keywords important which you feel, these are words which should be there in my answer. Rest you can write and explain in your own words. Headings should be correct. Okay, so these headings which is, emotional awareness, control, focus, attention, the head points should be appropriate as they are given in the notes. Inside those points you can write on your own, in your own words, no problem. Okay, so with this we come to an end of this video. Hope you're enjoying these lectures. Let us proceed to the next concept in the next video.